to teach, we are to fight. So where you lead me, I will go. Touch my lips, by your strength I will go. I will go where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, who will go? For us I will go. I will go where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, here am I. Send me, Lord, I will go. Because my eyes have seen the King, I must tell all the world, worship Him. In all the nations, in all the world, where He sends me, yes, I will go. I will go where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, who will go? For us I will go. I will go where you lead me, I will go. Where you lead me, here am I. Send me, Lord, I will go. I will go, I will go. Who will go? For us I will go. I will go, I will go. Here am I. Send me, Lord, I will go. I will go, I will go. I will go.
We're going to start with song number 614, Sound the Battle Cry, 614. We don't have a musician. Number 614, Sound the Battle Cry. I think we all know it, so we could sing it lustily, and hopefully the musician is going to join us in a bit. Sound the battle cry, see the foe is nigh, raise the standard high for the Lord. Gird your armor on, stand firm everyone, rest still upon His holy word. Rouse then soldiers, rally round the banner, ready, steady, pass the word along. Onward, forward, shout aloud, Hosanna, Christ is captain of the mighty throng. Strong to meet the foe, marching on we go, while our cause we know must prevail. Shield and banner bright, gleaming in the light, battling for the right we never can fail. Rouse then soldiers, rally round the banner, ready, steady, pass the word along. Onward, forward, shout aloud, Hosanna, Christ is captain of the mighty throne.
O thou God of all,
O thou God of all, hear us when we call, help us one and all by thy grace. When the battle's done and the victory won, may we wear a crown before thy face. Roundward, ready, the banner, ready, steady, pass the word along. Onward, forward, shout aloud, Hosanna, Christ is captain of the mighty throne.
hallelujah.
I guess you are warming up, so you're going to sing another one. All our songs this evening going to be songs of action, songs that's going to bring us into action as men. Stand up for Jesus, Numbers 618. Stand up for Jesus. Stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross. Lift high his royal banner, it must not suffer long.
Victory unto victory.
From victory unto victory, his army shall enact. Till every foe is vanquished, and Christ is Lord indeed. Stand up for Jesus, the trumpet shall obey. Forth to the mighty conflict, in this his glorious day. In that a brave now serve him against unnumbered foe. Let courage rise with danger, and strength to strength abroad.
Come on, stand up.
Stand up for Jesus, and in his strength alone. The arm of flesh will fail you, ye cannot trust your hope. Put on the gospel banner, each place put on with bread. When you call on danger, he never wanted death. Stand up for Jesus, the strife will not be long. This day the noise of battle, the next the victory song. To him that overcometh, a crown of life shall be. He with the King of glory shall reign eternally.
Oh, hallelujah.
Let's see if we do that one. Watch and blow the gospel trumpet, number 368.
What's it?
It's an old song we should, number 368. 368, watchmen blow the gospel trumpet. Watchmen blow the gospel trumpet. Watchmen blow the gospel trumpet.
Every soul a warning.
Let's do that again. Watchmen blow the gospel trumpet. Every soul a warning give. Whosoever bears the message, may repent and turn and leave. Blow the trumpet, trust in watchmen. Blow it loud, O land and sea. God's commission sound a message. Every captive may be free. We're going to lower it down. It's a little too high for us here. We're going to sing one more verse. Sound aloud, oh, every hilltop, gloomy shade and sunny plain. Ocean depths repeat the message. this one. It's giving us a little difficulty. Let's get another one. We are living, we are dwelling in a grand and awful time, number 617. Number 617. We are living, we are dwelling in a grand and awful time.
To the friend, heart, what's under His creation, growing for her latter days. Christian, rouse and arm for conflict, guilty for the battlefield. Bear the helmet of salvation and the mighty gospel shield. Let the breastplate peace be upon thee. Take the Spirit's sword in hand. Boldly, fearlessly go forward in Jehovah's strength to stand. And the prince of evil spirits will deceive among the world. He who at the blessed Jesus was His deadly weapons good. Long has been unwanted power, knowing that His reign will cease. When the kingdom shall be given to the mighty Prince of Peace. Christian, rouse fight in His warfare, cease not till the victory's won, till your captain loud proclaiming, servant of the Lord, well done. He alone who does is faithful, who abideth to the end. Have the promise in the kingdom and eternity to spend.
We're doing one more. You can. We have heard a joyful sound. Jesus saves, number 540. We have heard a joyful sound. 540. We have heard. That pitch is good for me.
No, that's it.
5. Am I saying it right then? The new hymnal. 340. Okay, I have 540. Sorry. It's 340. Thank you very much, Sister John.
We have heard the joyful sound. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Spread the gladness all around. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Bear the news to every land. Climb the steeps and cross the waves. Onward is the Lord's command. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Wafted on the rolling tide. Jesus saves, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Till
love the battle strife.
Love the battle strife.
Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
Jesus saves,
By his
Jesus
death and
saves.
endless life.
By his death and endless life. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Singing softly through the gloom. When the heart for mercy craves. Singing triumph o'er a tomb. Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
Give the wind a mighty voice. Wind
The mighty voice, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. When the nations are rejoiced, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Shout salvation full and free, highest hills and deepest caves. This the song of victory. Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
You ready? Okay, we'll do another song while they're getting themselves together. We'll do another one. Last one.
321, yes.
Okay, Pastor says 321. We how to give Pastor instructions.
My Jesus, I love thee. I know thou art mine. For thee all the follies of sin I resign. My gracious Redeemer, my Savior hath
Ever I love thee.
if ever I love thee, my Jesus is mine. Love thee because thou hast first loved me and purchased my body on Calvary.
I love you for wearing the cross, flaunting thy brow.
I love thee for wearing the thorns on thy brow. If ever I love thee, my Jesus is now. I love thee in life. I love thee till death, and praise thee as long as thou lettest me breath. And say when the death lies cold on my brow, if ever I love thee, my Jesus is now. In mansions of glory and endless I'll ever adore thee in heaven.
And sing with the glittering crown on my brow.
I'll sing with the glittering crown on
I love thee.
if ever I love thee, my Jesus is now.
Thank you.
Good night,
friends. Good night, fellow Christian soldiers. Good night to all those viewing us online. It's a privilege for us to be here this night. It's not an ordinary night because it's men's night. I want to welcome all of you who are here in the sanctuary tonight, those who have come to participate. I want to welcome the ladies who have come to give us support, because without the ladies, we would feel a little feeble. But when we have them around us, we are emboldened. We are strengthened because they are there with us. I want to welcome our special guests among us. You will hear more about them later. I'm not worthy to call the names. Somebody more worthy will call out the names of those who are with us tonight. But for those of you who are viewing online, it's been a fabulous weekend thus far. And I have no doubt that tonight is going to be no lesser than it has been for the past 2 days. It's a special privilege we have to be here tonight. And I'm hoping that when this night is over, those of you who are here, those of you who are viewing online, you would have come a little closer to understanding where the ideal man falls and what it is that we can do together to strengthen one another as men of God, men in society. God expects us to lead out, and this kind of getting together will only strengthen us. So again, welcome, and I hope you will fully participate tonight. And when we leave here, we'll all be happy. We will go home smiling that we have achieved something this weekend. And so God will be praised and glorified. And the men of St. Lucia, the men viewing from wherever you are viewing right now, we would be empowered to play our role and to function better in society, thus bringing about what God intended for man to do. God bless you as we continue tonight's program. God bless you.
Thank you, Brother Hubert Emmanuel. And at this time, just before we have our special prayer session, I just want to read to you a passage found in the book of Proverbs 27 and verse 17. It says, "As iron sharpeneth iron, so one person sharpens another. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." And of course, this text invites us to understand that no one is alone, and that in order to make ourselves better, there is a mutual benefit in making others better through membership, through fellowship, and through leading. And I trust God that this will inspire us. And as men, we have been saying all throughout the weekend that we need to be there for each other. We cannot wait for others to do it for us. We have to band ourselves and stand up as godly men. We need to take our stands. At this time, I want to invite you to pray with us. Those of you who are online, adopt an appropriate posture for prayer. And those of us who are in person, let us stand as we offer that special prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for who you are. You are God, and there's none else, none like you, none to be compared with you. And so we come in your house to worship you and to ascribe unto you the praises due unto your name. And we await a blessing from you. We sit at your feet and wait to be blessed. Wait, dear Lord, for you to pour out your anointing upon us. Throughout the weekend, men have come together to reflect upon what or who they are in you and what you have called them to be, and to be empowered by you so that they can live to their fullest potential. We ask that you will bless everybody who is so intent, who is of that one mind or of that desire. And we ask, dear Father, that you will truly help us as godly men to stand and be counted, to be role models for our families, for the community, and for all those who are within our sphere of influence. And we pray for the ladies who are in our lives to provide the kind of support that we need so that we can also be empowered and strengthened to carry out the various roles that you have devolved upon us. We pray that you'll bless this service. Help that every person will be blessed. Everybody will receive something that will inspire them motivate them, prompt them for a greater fulfillment, a greater satisfaction in life. Tonight, we address the whole issue of job creation and for us to see opportunities for employment and to find, even funding for creative initiatives so that we can provide for our families and make a living. Now we present this before you and ask that you'll make it possible. Help there to be a great learning today. And may we hear a voice prompting us saying, this is the way, try it, go this way. And may, seeds be sown. May the seeds sown germinate and may it be nurtured, watered, and may it bring forth fruits, some 60, some 100-folds. And we ask these mercies and we look wishfully to heaven for its fulfillment, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
Good evening, everyone, again. We're going to attempt to sing a song for your listening. And at the end, the last verse, we would like you to, the last chorus, sorry, would like you to join with us. It's number 662 from the old hymnal. If you could project this on the screen for us, please, number 662 from the old hymnal. Old hymnal number 662. (662), 662, not 626. Sorry. They don't have it. Okay, well let's do it otherwise then.
Let others seek a home below, will be gathered home, which flames devour always the flow, will be gathered home. We'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, and we'll be gathered home. Be mine a happier Lord to own, we'll be gathered home. A heavenly mansion near the throne, we'll be gathered home. We'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, and we'll be gathered home. Then fill this earth, let stars decline, we'll be gathered home, and sun
Okay, so welcome again to tonight's program, which is promising to be quite informative and exciting. My name is Chamberlain Emmanuel. I am a man like you, all right, but I'm from the Zion SDA Church. And I would only introduce myself to say I'm also an entrepreneurship enthusiast. So like my audience, I'm looking forward to learning a lot from our distinguished panel tonight. And so allow me to introduce our panel, but I would also allow them to introduce themselves. So I'd first call on, let's start with closest to me, Barry Williams. Just tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, good night, everyone. Barry Williams, in my professional capacity, I would say I am the training manager at the National Skills Development Center. So our organization is a technical vocational training institution. And so we delve heavily into not just training, but also we look at the aspect of job training, job placement as well.
Okay, excellent. Welcome. We have next Pastor Wentland Paul.
Yes, I have a funny name. I'm glad to be at Labi today. I've been associated with entrepreneurship and development very much undercover. I have been involved in the Jeff Small Grants Program. I was both the chairperson of the National Steering Committee as well as the deputy chairperson. And I helped to break off Jeff in the region and to have St. Lucia have its own country program. And we are, I'm no longer serving, but we have sponsored many individual projects all over St. Lucia, so I have experience in that. Also, I'm now associated with the Seventh-day Adventist Credit Union, and we have been involved in a lot of projects with our members. I personally have already also been involved in a personal family business, and I know the difficulties and the challenges on a first-hand basis of being an entrepreneur. And so I think I am qualified to speak about entrepreneurship. Apart from that, I also studied community and international development at Andrews University.
Excellent. And just so everyone is clear, Jeff is the Global Environment Facility. All right? Okay. Next.
It's small grants, eh?
Yes. Next, we go to Mr. Chris Fred.
Yes, good night to all. Chris Fred, I'm representing the Department of Cooperatives of the Ministry of Commerce. The department exists to promote and encourage St. Lucians in cooperative enterprises. So I look forward to introducing the details of how that can be done and how collaborating with other agencies, the men of this church can open businesses and be viable and run viable enterprises. Thank you.
Excellent. Next, we have, when you just heard him sing, but he has so many more skills than singing, and he's Brother Hubert Iman.
Good night, everyone. I'm not a singer, but I'm an all-rounder. But yes, I'm a retired civil servant, former PS of Agriculture, and also External Affairs, former ambassador of St. Lucia to Taiwan. And now an entrepreneur myself, and I have a fair amount of experiences in trying to get funding and things of that sort for small businesses all over, including Jeff. We have tapped into Jeff right now. We are working on some things with Jeff, and I'll be happy to tell you of more ways tonight where possibly men could come together and for us to get funding in areas that are still untapped.
Thank you, Elder. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Jonathan Alain.
Good evening to all. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I am an officer within the Ministry of Commerce. For those who don't know, the Ministry of Commerce is the government ministry responsible for the business sector, the private sector, for providing support and helping in the development of micro, small, medium, and large businesses. I have worked as a business development officer within the Small Enterprise Development Unit, and currently I am a commerce and industry officer with responsibility for persons within the food and beverage sector. I'm expecting tonight to be an interesting discussion, I am here to provide as much information as I possibly can to those who are in or ready to start off their businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So now we have heard their voices, and we want to now, peek into their minds. But before we do so, we are out or coming out of COVID, and we want to establish, whether, we really have an issue. The Bible's one verse in Genesis says, man, that by the sweat of thy brow thou shalt eat bread, right? The question is, do we really have an issue in terms of lack of employment or underemployment? Is that a reality? Because we want to ensure we are addressing something that is relevant. So maybe I can ask first one of our colleagues from the government, based on the statistics, based on, what is happening, what can you tell us, is the gravity of the situation, especially with respect to men? Is there anything at all you can say to us? So is there any, whether it be actual statistics or anything that points to an issue? Is it really an issue?
Well, it's not something that I had looked up in terms of the statistics relating to employment, but we know that for sure it is one of the issues, especially our young persons face, because with the number of persons who are coming out of schools and the amount of job openings, could see that there are not enough job openings for persons to be filled in, and that is why the government formed departments like the Small Enterprise Development Unit in order to assist persons who are unable to find job placements but have a skill or have the willingness to be self-employed. So I honestly do not have the statistics, but we know that employment is indeed an issue.
Okay. Anyone who may be able to cite anything here?
Well, with COVID, the statistics have been skewed because of this. I consider COVID a macroeconomic factor, and so the statistics have been skewed. So I am taking the statistics from the better years. 2018 and 2019, we had a reduction in the unemployment rate in St. Lucia, and it was significant. It was at 16 point something percent. And so these were the 2 years that we had the unemployment rate going down. We also recognize, I have the statistics there, that the unemployment rate by communities or the areas, we don't have provinces but communities. The Castries City, it's 15.4. The Castries Central Rural is 13.5. And that's for 2019. And Slurry Canaries, it was 10.6. No, sorry, 16.4. And Soufrière 10.6. Sozel 17.2. You had Labry 18.7. Vieux-Fort 42.4. And Micoud 18.3. And then Dennery 20.4. And Grosley 16.4. So Micoud and Dennery are the 2 areas where we have the highest unemployment rate in 2019. So you could imagine how it is within the COVID context. And then also we recognize that youth unemployment is much higher than anything else. And then unemployment among females happen to be more females unemployed than males.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. You wanted to add to that? Yes?
I wanted to make a general point here. Yeah. Something has been pointing, towards the economy that is changing, and the job market is changing. Traditionally, the biggest employers in St. Lucia were the government of St. Lucia, SLBGA, Cable and Wireless, and these such firms. But in recent times, with the demise of the banana industry, you find a number of persons who are employed in the banana sector and agriculture on a whole. They are now unemployed. And most of them are not skilled enough to go to other areas. So it's a major problem. And I would, to answer your question, yes, we have a serious issue with unemployment. The hotel sector does offer a fair amount of employment, but it's not attractive enough, both in terms of the salaries paid and the terms and conditions. So any serious man and a young man with a family will find it difficult to go into the hotel sector because of the whole question of the hours of work and everything of that sort. So we do have a serious problem with unemployment.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. So we are confirming that there is an issue and an issue that needs to be solved. Now, but Emmanuel, as you even as you indicated that seems to be a shift, right? The question is then, where are the opportunities? Because first of all, before we get into the money part, do we have the situation? I know we hear sometimes even ads about foreign countries that are looking for persons because their citizens are not necessarily training in those areas. Do we have such a situation in St. Lucia where there are particular areas where jobs are actually available and tomorrow someone can go and find out and apply? Are there any places that we have opportunities but our citizens are not necessarily equipped to fill in those opportunities? Let's begin here. Are there any that we are aware of?
I don't want to dominate the discussion tonight.
That's fine.
However, I would say yes, there are areas, not necessarily jobs,
Right.
but I would say employment, and that includes self-employment.
Okay.
Yeah? We have a growing tourism industry. If you go to work for the hotels, as I say, you may not come out the best in terms of your time and also the wages. However, I think the time has come, and it has been seen in St. Lucia over the past 2 years. In spite of COVID, the numbers keep growing in St. Lucia. Our numbers are growing all the time in terms of tourism arrivals and things of that sort. So it's for us now to be creative. And I'm happy you started about creative. You said that very earlier on. We have to become creative in the way we try to get employment. If we go to the traditional ways, everybody wants to just buy and sell. And that is failing. You have a lot of market vendors, they work hard, but the returns on that is very small. I believe there are areas where we could tap into. But again, there are ways you have to do it. In terms of, you cannot go alone. Sometimes we try to go alone and try to do things on our own. We may not succeed. But there are areas in tourism, I believe, that we could tap into. Again, with the demise of the banana industry, we have land. And land is very critical. Not necessarily land for agriculture alone, but lands to use for tourism in one way or the other. We'll get into the details a little later, but yes, they are.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to continue a little on this. So you mentioned possible opportunities in tourism and possible opportunities in agriculture. Are there any other areas? Let me probably go to one of the persons from the ministry, and then we'll come back. So whether Chris or Jonathan, any areas, based on where you're getting, requests for help, that you can see opportunities that persons can go to?
Right. So, again, our point of view would have been from a self-employment point of view and not really employment in the sense. And I would like to add to what Mr. Hubert was saying, is that we notice a trend, an increase in service-oriented businesses. So persons are moving away from just buying and selling, and they are offering a number of services. So we have persons who are into IT, a lot of technology-related businesses, a lot of, we noticed that even during the period of COVID, we noticed that a number of businesses were born. Services, offering delivery services, internet services. So I think based on the trends that we see in that services are the ways that persons are going. Also with the tourism tourism sector, we notice a number of persons going into tourist offering services, touring services, taxi services, There are persons who provide a number of, the Airbnb, a number of experiences, basically. But the service sector is starting to grow a little more.
Okay, wonderful. And Barry, I'm coming to you about that thing about how persons can really transition. Say I've lost my job. I used to be, I used to work in tourism, or used to work in agriculture, used to work, as a teacher, and I've lost my job, and I'm hearing that there are all of these opportunities for small business, for new employment. What does your organization offer? How do you, and I don't have the skills for those new areas. How can I become reskilled so that I can now tap into those areas?
Okay.
And it could be your organization or just education broadly that you're aware of.
Definitely. But in addition to what Jonathan was saying with the increase in the services sector in general, especially when you look at tourism, you have the rise of more Airbnbs and so forth. There are spillover services that persons can provide, which are the more traditional services. It's just that you're taking them away from the hotel and they're going into the small accommodations. So you still need the housekeepers, maybe cooks for certain types of villas and so forth. Right. Those sorts of traditional services that we saw in tourism. So there's a need for those services. When persons lose their job, and with the National Skills Development Center, our history has been we were positioned to be able to help persons retool and reskill so they could go into a new sector, a new skill, a new trade. And so persons, let's say, coming out of the banana industry, they needed to find employment elsewhere. There were programs in place with the NSDC where persons were able to learn a new trade or a new skill. So there were several areas offered where persons could probably learn one of the building trades, or if they decided to go from bananas to something else in tourism. We also had the more technical trades like information technology, IT, and so forth. So persons would get skilled. They would come into our program, they would do the program, they would learn the skill, they would get certified, and we would also be assisting them with an actual placement for a short period of time where they could gain work experience, because we believe in persons gaining some work experience before you actually leave our program. And then persons are better placed to actually find full-time employment or to work with another agency to be able to go off on their own. What we don't do is self-employment. We don't have the experience with helping persons start up their own business, but we partner with the agencies that do, because we don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So
okay, all right, wonderful. And Chris, I'm coming to you on that in a bit in terms of those who want to know how to start a business. But Pastor Paul, I know you if I were going to introduce you, one of the things I would have said is a very strategic mind. So my question to you, and still going back to my previous question, is where do ideas come from? I mean, here I am, and we have this whole big world. How can I get an idea?
One of the main issue that has not been discussed in entrepreneurship is the idea of having the entrepreneurial mindset. The mindset is not something that you learn in school.
Can you say that again?
It is not something that you learn in school. It's something that you learn by association with people, like-minded people. I remember, when I was at college, you have Brother Cyril here. He used to be employing guys to work with him. He was a student, but he would employ guys to go out painting. He was the boss. He would paint as well. So I was not surprised that when he left NRDF, he went into Cable and Wireless. He had a regional job. And he left that, and he went into a bakery. That's really brave. That is not easy. You have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Like the basketballers would say, you have to have dog in you in order to do that. This is not easy. And you get that by your associations and being involved in groups. And that's why, and I hope that the ministry people will talk about incubators and stuff like that, apprenticeship, because apprenticeship is very, very important in that regard. And we could see the nexus now between national skills and the others. So you train with you get certain skill sets, that can be done, but the entrepreneurial mindset, you got to get it in association, in an incubator, in an apprenticeship, and in exposure, selective exposure.
All right.
I want to go into your question also. Yeah. Where do ideas come from?
Ideas come from?
Most ideas come from recognition of a problem, a need.
Okay. All right. Talk to us about that.
So basically, let me think of a business. Okay, so we have a bakery here. So it's usually born out of a need that, okay, the nearest bakery, how far is it away? Yes. Persons would have to probably take a bus. They wouldn't be able to get it in there. So like, okay, there's a problem here that persons are unable to get bread within a certain geographic location. So I'm going to start here. Yes. So it usually starts with a problem. It usually starts with a need. And out of that need, that's where the business comes in, and then you analyze it to see if it makes sense, if there's an actual demand, and then you take the steps towards establishing your business.
So I'm hearing you saying that, you need to get off your couch and look around you. Look around you, see what problems there are, what needs there are, what gaps there are, whether it be in your local community or nationally or even beyond, and then ideas would come. Okay. All right. Great. Great.
Yes. Yes. I can recall Pastor Morris during his New Year's sermon. He mentioned that he was at Babuno, and he did a walk through the community, and he observed that there was no gas station. That's the need. So here it is. There's a need for a gas station because the nearest gas station is in Balata. So you would mobilize the community and say, as an individual, it might not be possible, but as a community, you can come together and approach the various, from a cooperative or a business, but in my case, I promote cooperatives. Yes? Yes. From a cooperative and address that particular problem. And I want to task you, Brother Morris, Pastor Morris, sorry, to that idea can still work because the need is still there. Yeah?
Yes. All right, great. And also we want to ensure that, everyone understands that principle and doesn't think that it has to be a complex issue. So there may be no barbershop in your community. There may be no one, people love coconut water in your community. Nobody's selling it. Look around and see what's missing. And you can get into it. And if you don't have the skills, you go to Barry's office to try to reskill to get it. All right, excellent.
I just, I don't want it to be oversimplified because you have a lot of people who have started businesses because they thought it was going to be easy.
Right? It's not easy.
Yes, we get
it. And that's a very difficult thing. And the fact that you ask where ideas come, you have to have a certain degree of abstract thinking. And there's a reason for that. It's easier to debate and be critically minded in abstraction than to be critically minded in experience because it's very stressful. When you have a bad experience, you run away from it, fight or flight. But when you you come up with an idea in your mind and you put it in abstraction, you can have opposite ideas clash with one another. And it is less stressful to deal with ideas on an abstract level than to deal with ideas in a very practical sense because it could get so stressful and it could discourage you. So you get that concept inside there, coming from my Jeff experience, that concept note inside there. And once you have it birthed inside there, the core stays with you. Then you are able to deal with the situation. And again, yes, I'm not reducing. There has to be a problem. There must be a problem that you're solving. And sometimes you solve the problem, you have a good product, and you will not be successful.
You're right.
Yes,
okay?
Yes.
That's also, and that's why I started with the entrepreneurial mindset. Because there are other things. The worst of it is selling.
Right.
Selling is the worst part of being an entrepreneur. It's hard. And that's where a lot of people fail. So I actually did not want it to be seen that it's just easy. I want it to be seen that it's a challenge that we can go at. That's my attitude. It's a challenge, but we are men. And men take on challenges. And that's why men are supposed to provide and protect for their home, protect and provide for their homes. It means that as a man, you have to take on a challenge. And you cannot back away from a challenge. And so even though it's not going to be easy, but some of them, sometimes you get a good break. And you get an easy situation.
Right.
But please, do not assume that there will not be challenges. And please, do not assume that because there are challenges, you cannot overcome the challenges.
Right. So we speak in balance here, right? So thank you for that balance. Because again, going back to the entrepreneurial mind, from what I've also learned from some entrepreneurs, what they've observed is that one of the key things that hinders persons from going in is actually fear. Fear, and we live in a risk-averse society. And we get into the finance part. Okay, we live in a risk-averse society where everyone is afraid of risk. I'm afraid to take the risk, and institutions are afraid to take a chance on me. And we need to find, how do we break that? How do we solve that? Barry, I see you wanted to.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that point, and I love the fact that you made that point. I've studied in other countries, and I've had the fortunate experience to meet a lot of young people. And I've met young people who, by the time they were 21, were on their third business venture at age 21. Simply because in their culture, they are encouraged to take the risk, to come up with an idea, to work at it. If it fails in their culture...
I was just about to say, it doesn't mean that all three succeeded.
Right. No,
right.
And they didn't. It's just that in their culture, they're not afraid to fail.
But here what happens when you fail, they give you jokes, right? No, seriously, we're talking real. If you try something here and you fail, they laugh at you. Oh.
Yeah, so our society, we need to encourage persons not to be afraid to fail. Because you will have difficulty, and I'm happy Pastor said that, because these things will happen even if you have a brilliant idea, because there are other factors involved.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, excellent. Now, just want to, before we go forward, remember you can send us your questions. Send us your questions if you're logged in online. To make sure we get in some of the questions and ensure anything that we have not covered, you can help us cover it. But continuing, let's go to the finance part. As we mentioned about, some of the fear that exists amidst our institutions to take a chance on our young persons, our men who have certain ideas and to guide. What is available? What is available in terms of financial institutions that are designed to take a level of risk? Obviously, you're not reckless, but to take a reasonable level of risk on persons with ideas. And how do you access it, and how do you get to it? Chris, I think you wanted to start on this.
I want to start. I want to first comment on the fact that failure is seen. Failure is a detriment to persons open up a business, but failure must be encouraged. Yeah.
Wow.
The business life cycle. Most businesses fail. Yeah. After 3 years. So, SEDU as a department exists to register businesses, and it must be mindful, but that not all of those businesses will succeed. So the question for me that I think my department can assist is, when those businesses fail, they should be encouraged. The records of the businesses registered are there. Those that have failed can be contacted to see what did they do wrong. Yes? With regards to your question on financing, the government has facilities available, the Development Bank, the rep didn't come tonight. I also spoke to someone from Belfan.
Okay.
They were not able to come.
Right.
They said they would have sent me some brochure, and hopefully they would send some information to Pastor Alfred. But basically, Belfan is the only institution that an individual can approach with no financing. Yeah, if I can say so. No financing, and they will get a loan up to $25,000.
Okay.
Providing they have a viable business and they will work with you throughout.
Okay.
I don't work Belfan, by the way.
Yes.
I work cooperative department.
Yes.
But I'm aware
Yes.
of
Yes.
what's what's been offered.
Yes.
Yes? The Department of Cooperative doesn't give financing.
Okay.
Neither does SLU. Yeah, Brother Alain? But the government, through the Development Bank, and also Pastor Alexander. Paul, sorry. You mentioned credit union.
Yes.
Yes? And the SDA Credit Union and other credit unions do provide financing. But the condition is you have a viable business plan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
One of the things Chris said, I think it's not no financing, but no collateral. So with Belfan, you would not be required to really give any collateral.
Like land
but
or anything.
yeah,
Yes.
but they would require a guarantor, which is a bit difficult to get in these times.
Okay.
Right? So, a guarantor, yeah.
Someone to sign for you.
Someone to sign for you. And like I say, a lot of persons are not willing to do that now as much as before.
Right.
So Belfan is one of the options. Like Chris said, the St. Lucia Development Bank, but they would have some sort of collateral requirement depending on the size of the loan that you would require. The Ministry of Commerce right now is going into a program, a loan grant facility program, where persons who have, again, viable businesses would be able to apply. These loans would range from 10, 20 to 25,000 for businesses who are new. You just go into the business, then you would be eligible for 10,000. Businesses that are under 2 years old, the 20, and businesses that are over 2 years old would be eligible for the $25,000. It's loan grant. 70% of it would be a grant. So let's say you're looking at 10,000, 7,000 would be a grant, free money in a sense, and 3,000 would be the loan with very low interest rate, as low as 3%, with little to no collateral requirements. So this is an opportunity for potential entrepreneurs who are interested in starting or expanding or going into new directions for their business. The ministry hopes that in the month of February, this program could be launched. In order for persons to prepare themselves, you would need a business plan. I know that is one of the stumbling blocks for a lot of persons also, but the Ministry of Commerce, through SEDU, the Small Enterprise Development Unit, also provides assistance in developing business plans. So persons could come to the department for assistance or for more information. So that is an excellent opportunity for potential entrepreneurs or persons who are already in business.
Excellent. Well, Emmanuel, I get a sense that you have some insights also.
I have a question that I want to ask.
Yes.
What is the projected accessibility rate?
Okay, so in terms of the requirements, they made it as simple as possible. So any body with a viable business idea would be able to get it. It's not like Belfund or St. Lucia Development Bank. As long as you meet the requirements, you must be a St. Lucian business person, you must be registered, you need to provide a business plan. There are priority sectors, which would be manufacturing, agro-processing, and some services, but outside of that, anybody can apply, right? So I would say that it is very accessible. I mean, I don't know if I should say that, but the only reason why, I mean, we had to tie in a loan component within it is because we know entrepreneurs, when they get things free of charge, totally free, they tend to just not take it serious. So when there is a commitment on their end to pay back an amount, they tend to be serious and try to make the business successful. So that's how accessible that the government has made it.
Because I asked about that because there was this program by the EDF, a loan grant facility program, and some of it worked, but then the accessibility was a problem. And then now, as you indicated, there was a problem as well with the payback, because it's not free money. Entrepreneurs, there is nothing free.
Somebody pays for it.
Somebody is paying for it. Yes. And when you squander it, somebody else will not be able to access it. More restrictions will be placed, and the accessibility rate will be reduced.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I wanted to say, some of the basic things, even before we go deeply into funding, wherever funds are available, there will be a number of requirements. Now, the government has put some things in place, the whole question of the National Skills Training Program. That is one area. If you have gone through that program, they see you as a serious person. Then you have to be registered with the Department of Commerce. You have to register with SLU as a small business. And when you register with SLU, I can tell you, the officers go through a number of things with you to ensure there's no missteps. Because missteps in business could really set you back, yeah? And where you know that you alone can come together and do whatever it is, then the Department of Cooperative have been around for a long while. However, they are still functioning. So these things are basic. Do not believe you'll just wake up today, no training, no registration, with a brilliant idea, and you will get money anyway. So that is very critical for us to do. But coming back to the whole question of finance, as Pastor Paul said, there's no free money. Eh? and I find that in St. Lucia, before that program, I heard about that program which he spoke about, and it's a very good one. But again, look at the amount. The amount of $10,000, $15,000, $20 cannot get you very far. Except if you want to buy 2 cameras to take photos, go into a thing where you take photos and things of that sort. So that is still the biggest challenge. The question of finance and marketing, sales are the biggest challenge. Now, they've put a number of things in place before, but as Pastor Paul said, some people have squandered. They didn't go well, maybe not enough coaching and things of that sort. But I'm saying with all the programs coming up now through SEDU, if we keep close contact and we follow, you should be able to get through. Because I can tell you, SEDU, they're not too old, maybe 25 years, 30 years, but since that time, they have a number of persons who have gone through these programs under the government, what the government has put in place, they are able to. And do not believe because I get through and I'm going out tomorrow that I'm weaned and I don't need SEDU, I don't need cooperatives and things of that sort. That is one of the critical problems. People start well, get the financing, and then they go away. But apart from what Jonathan mentioned there, even the Jeff project, there are some things on the green energy and sustainability. Anything sustainability. The German government had a fair amount of money. I don't know if it's still around. But for anything to enhance the environment, anything of that sort that you can do, whether you plant something by a river, you come to do these kind of things, environmental, you can get the funding. It's tedious, I could tell you. Anything from the EU is very tedious. But again, if we work with partners from SEDU, and people like that, and tap into experienced people like Brother Chamberlain himself, and others. So it's a matter of seeking information, coming together, and we could get funding in a number of areas.
Okay, great. I know we're supposed to take a break for a song, but also I know amidst our men, a lot of young men, and we know we have a lot of young men at risk. I know the government announced launching of the YEA, Youth Economy Agency. Anything you want to give us a little information there, especially for our young men?
It's not in my department, but as you said,
yes,
the law was passed and the program exists.
Right.
So it's in the Ministry of Finance. So anyone who wants information can contact the department for more information on programs offered.
Okay, all right. So,
let me just say something on the youth economy. Somebody was supposed to have been here, but I think the dates were mistaken. I got a call from the PS. The dates were mistaken. They thought it was next week.
Okay.
Okay. However, the youth economy, the intent is to get more young persons in business, and just as has been said from Sedu, I know that some things have been put in place to really engender young people getting into business. Because the biggest problem for young people is the startup. You have no reputation. You've never held a loan before. That's the biggest problem. You go to a bank with the best idea, but you never had a loan before, you're not going to get a loan. You know? You have to give your father's land, they will have to mortgage your whole father's house, and it's risky. So that does not happen. Yeah. Whereas I know in other places, Taiwan, where I spent some years, the government has special facilities in place whereby they give you 100% and they put you in an incubator. You work in a particular field, you have people to coach you, you have labs to test your things, to test your products, and that could really go forward. Yeah. But for the youth economy, I know they want to do something similar to that. I don't know how deep it's going to go. Yeah. But young persons have a better chance today than you and me. Because whenever you're past 40, 45, they don't consider you. The Development Bank has a facility, 35 and below. You know, so young persons, young men and women, if they are thinking, there's a brilliant opportunity for them to gain finances from all these facilities.
Okay, great. And we'll take some questions after the song, but as we just waiting on the signal for that song. And just piggybacking on the last point you made there, and again, it seems to me that it really takes a whole of society mindset. Because if you consider, for example, what happens, say, in Silicon Valley, we normally like to mention, you know, whether it be Silicon Valley or Taiwan or Singapore, but there's a system, there's an ecosystem that's established. And going back even to the issue of the risks, in Silicon Valley, people with money and government take risks on people. You have an IT idea, it sounds like it will solve an issue, somebody throws $1 million at you. Knowing that of the 100 ideas, 80 will fail. Yes. But when the 20 that make it will revolutionize the world. And we need to, and again I stress that we're too much of a risk-averse society, and it needs to start from school. Pastor Paul, you said that we don't learn that at school. So on the other side, when we take the song and we come back, we want to take some questions, but also ask the question, what message do we want to give to our parents, to our schools, to our institutions, to our government, to be able to help to change that mindset and create a more facilitative society, so that, both young persons and those over 35 and 45 can, step into that space and create employment for themselves. So we'll take that song and then we will come back. So please send your questions in the chat, and then we will address them when we return, and we will hear again from our panelists.
So let's do song number 373, Seeking the Lost. Seeking the lost, yes, kindly entreating, wanderers on the mountain astray. Come unto me, his message repeating, words of the Master speaking today. Who in a fire upon the mountain, bringing the wanderers back again into the fold. I'm not hearing the parts of my Redeemer, Jesus the Lamb, the seeking the lost and pointing to Jesus. Souls that are weak and hearts that are sore, leading them forth in ways of salvation, showing the path to life evermore, going afar upon the mountain, bringing the wonders back again into the fold. Jesus the Lamb. Okay, let's do better on the third verse. Thus I would go on missions of mercy, following Christ from day unto day, cheering the faint and raising the fallen, pointing the lost to Jesus the way, going afar upon the mountain, bringing the wonders back again into the fold, the fold of my redeemed, Jesus the Lamb, the Lamb for sinners slain.
Thank you, thank you. That was lovely singing from our men. And yes, so we're waiting on your questions. As we wait, I will engage our panelists with a couple more questions. And please send your questions in the chat so that they can be forwarded. And also, if we have any in the audience, feel free to raise your hands and we can engage you. Yes, we have a question. We need a mic, so we ensure that. Yes, hold for the mic so the audience online can hear you.
In light of the difficulty that young people face in starting up a business, Pastor Paul is here and he's associated with the credit union. Pastor Paul, I'm one who think that every month end, tens of millions of dollars exchange hand between Adventists and non-Adventists and Adventists and Adventists. And it goes to the banking system, not the credit union. If we could get more of our people connected in the credit union, all this money changing via the credit union, it would help us. However, we don't have that. But I'm asking the question now, what role can the credit union play in providing, or not providing, in helping people secure soft loans, 4%, 6%, in helping start business?
Thank you very much, Pastor Morris. Yes, I agree with you. The internal Adventist economy would have been a great thing. For example, if all churches have accounts at the credit union, we have a number of churches with accounts at the credit union. If the mission has an account at the credit union, the SDA Academy has an account at the credit union. If the union takes an account, puts an account, then that would be used. We would have grown exponentially in terms of our deposits, if that happens. And it would create an internal economy among Adventists. The money would stay within Adventism. And it's in the intersection between Adventism and the business community that we will see the growth. Not subsets, but in the intersection. That's where we see actual growth, because you can have exponential growth taking place that way. So that would be very good. However, this is something that is a goal we are moving towards. We have certain strategic ideas on the table, and we have to also continue meet people and ask people to invest. The Adventist Credit Union has had to be strategic in asking specific Seventh-day Adventists with capital to invest in the credit union, and we have been successful. That's one of our methods that has allowed us to survive, where we have faithful Seventh-day Adventist members who believe in the vision of the credit union and have invested. And that's why we see the Seventh-day Adventist Credit Union funding the church building projects. Labby has had a loan there, Labby Church, as well as Castries Seventh-day Adventist Church just finished their dedication, whatnot, and what have you. So yes, that's it. But then let me talk about soft loans.
And the opportunity for entrepreneurs.
Yes. We have small loans that are $10,000 loans, and there's a specific rate of interest associated with it. Well, some of the rates of interest are negotiable, but there's a particular threshold. Okay, so you come with your business plan. One of the key things you look at in the business plan is product differentiation and the sustainability component. Let me explain. You decide to sell T-shirts. Why should your T-shirt be bought? There are not people selling T-shirts. How do you differentiate your product to allow for a need that will be satisfied that no other individual can satisfy? Right. That's product differentiation. And sustainability. Yes, you may have a big blowout. For example, you remember Royal Castle, the chicken place that came down? Yeah. When they opened, it was explosive. And after a month, nobody went there again. St. Lucians are like that. They try out something, and then they go back to their vans and buy chicken from their van. It must be sustainable. And so you need to have a sustainable plan. And the issue of sustainability must be involved with a feedback loop in terms of your customer and adaptation to minute changes in your customer base. And that's one of the things we actually taking that in consideration. To the extent that I'm the one responsible for assessing and analyzing that. And I cannot spend all the time doing that, so we put it through a sensitivity analysis that we run through a particular software. Nowadays, AI can tell you everything. So when you apply for a loan, sometimes this is a software program saying no. Yeah. Okay. Where you live, whether you have a house, when the census people ask you questions about whether you have running water and stuff like that, that's not by accident. We go into the statistics, central statistics database, and where you're from, we understand pretty much what kind of community you are going to serve. And as a result, we will know if there is a demand. On the employment rate, all the macroeconomic factors, we put that into a particular model, and then we can determine whether the plan is a successful business plan. Right. Apart from that, we also would need collateral, because security is a very important thing. Mm-hmm. We have unsecured loans, but they have up to a $2,000 threshold. Okay. And then we base that on your track record. We have a history of your performance, and we run that again through software, and we can predict the possibility of default. Yeah. We can actually predict default. All right. And know which loans most likely would default, which persons most likely would default. So you don't fool people. And remember, all financial institutions would credit check you. Every morning, first thing loan managers do, they go about credit checking you. An email is sent to every financial institution to find out how you're doing, if you have an account there or a loan there, how you're performing. So don't think you can fool the financial institution. And it's coming up. The credit bureau is coming up. And it's going to be a regional credit bureau. So if you run to Guyana, they can still find you.
So with that, I wanted to ask Jonathan or Chris, based on the those risks, yeah, right? What facility do you have to help entrepreneurs to mitigate their risks, to ensure that they have the right training and tools? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, the department provides support from the startup, the concept, registering the business, assisting with the business plans, to help improve the likelihood of success of the businesses, right? For small businesses, obviously, a grant program is what is needed for them because they need that step up so that then they could have the history that a credit union or financial institution would need. And that is what the grant program that the government is proposing, that is the aim of it. So that persons after that grant program, you should be more bankable. You should be attractive to a credit union or to a commercial bank. So that is something that would help to fill the gap for small business persons, micro and small business persons, but more of it definitely is needed. Because if you ask what is the greatest issues that businesses face, access to finance would be the number 2, right? The number 1 issue is poor management of the businesses. So,
excellent. So as I know, we'll take your intervention, and I know we preparing to wrap up. So after Brother Emmanuel, I'll give you a last round of points. Yeah.
Just to respond to something Pastor Quidley asked his question, just not just credit union, but in general, one of the things young persons, and you are focusing on young people, one of the things young people must learn very early is to start to save. You know, sometimes we believe that, look, I'm going to school, when I finish, I'll get that big job, and then I'll start to save. But we need to start to save early. And you see, your history of saving will tell the institution the kind of person that you are. I remember way back in 1981, I joined the credit union, the Civil Service Credit Union, and I put $50 there a month, $50 a month, you know, consistently for a few years. After a few years, I wanted to buy some land. My $50 I was going there every month, it didn't have enough to buy the land, no way. But the bank see the consistency, the credit union, and then they were able to say, look, you've been consistent, you know, and so we could take the risk of giving you that money because you have been consistent for 3 years. And so...
And by the way, they wouldn't give you above a particular threshold.
That's correct.
They would look at your consistency and predict what level of risk they can have on you.
That's correct.
Based upon your track record,
That's
your history.
Right.
And then after you've succeeded and paid off your land, you again get more credit, and then you can get to bigger things and bigger things and bigger things.
That's correct.
So by the time you reach age 35 or 40 or 50, you are loaded with assets because you have had a track record and have followed a program.
Very well said. Very well said.
Okay, so
it may be true that you're loaded with assets.
Yes. So as we end, and I think, Brother Emmanuel, you actually were exactly along that line. Wanted to just ask each of you to, if there's one thing you would like to say to a particular stakeholder in that, what I call that ecosystem, that community of entrepreneurship we're trying to build. Choose one and say one recommendation that you think is critical. It could be to a parent. It could be to our schools. It could be to our financial institutions, our government. It could be to a young person. Just pick one and give one recommendation you think that is critical so that we can move better in that direction. Barry, you want to start?
I thought of more than one, so I was trying to decide. But with training and education institutions, one of the things we have to ensure that we're doing is that we're designing our programs to encourage young persons to look out there at the community and to think about how it is they're going to utilize the skill that they're gaining or skills that they're gaining to be able to provide some sort of service or to respond to something whereby they can earn a living. So it's not just about coming to class, sit down and do math, or come to class, sit down and learn a trade. No. My intention is for me to be able to utilize this to help myself or my family or my community. So we need to encourage young persons to be thinking about that. Now, the only way I think through my experience, I would encourage parents as well to encourage their children to get involved in as many activities as possible whilst they're young. Because a lot of young people are coming to us at the NSDC, and they're just not sure about what it is they want to do. They're lost. And the fact of the matter is they've gone through their school years basically on idle. They have not tried. They don't know what it is that they feel comfortable doing. And they're seeing all these wonderful things and hearing all these wonderful things, and they have no confidence that they'll be able to do them. So had they tried out different things whilst they were young in school, they would have been more confident about their ability to do different things.
Excellent. Chris, I saw you jumping in.
Yes, basically, I've been hearing so much tonight on failures, but I want to encourage us to invest in successes. During the COVID, one of the most successful programs that came about right now, Zoom. Zoom.
Studio, yes.
So here you have LNO Studios, a good idea. How many of us, he has been copied over the years, right? Basically, it comes from an idea and person have copied him because it's working, it's efficient. So you must focus on successes, and I signal him as a success that persons can emulate. I see young men every so often in church and the funerals, yeah? So Heritage is a business idea that is proven, it is resilient, it will work. Person can see it as an investment, where you invest in this company, and whereby he can have multiple programs at the same time. His equipment, and it's working, and Pastor Paul, he can go through your metrics, and you can look at his rate of failure, and you can see it's working. So not just only LNO Studios, but other businesses that are successful need to be invested in. And that's where, again, the cooperative idea will come in, where you might not want to do it actually or do it alone. You might not want to actually do the business, but you have the financing to support the individual who's doing it.
Excellent, excellent. So you're saying that even existing businesses can look to create more employment, and we can invest in them to do that. Excellent. Yes, Brother Emmanuel?
Yeah, one thing, I have a lot to say, but I'll say the one.
Yes.
One thing I would like to say to the audience here is when you decide to do something, don't follow lead. Aim for the top in whatever you do. There's an old saying, follow fashion, make the donkey lost its tail. Whatever you're going to do, try to be the best. Don't, because 15 persons have gone into that and they seem to be successful, to believe that you will be. Look at an angle that you could take it to a new level, or look at a new direction for a need that is in the area. Go for it. You'll stumble sometimes. Don't give up. If that dream is there, get the support. Don't give up. It does not come easy, but if you persevere, you will succeed. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think if I had to speak to a segment, it would be mentors. I mean, even in here, I know there are a number of persons that have had successful businesses, and I think it's something that's missing in the ecosystem. A lot of young persons are going it alone, whereas there are a number of experienced persons who have gone through the pitfalls, who have started, who have failed, and they could provide advice. But I'm not sure why in St. Lucia we don't have that strong culture of mentorship, providing guidance to young persons. So the aim is that even within, the church, there are experienced business persons and there are young persons who are going into business. So if there is a program where you could pair them up so that these persons would have a greater chance of succeeding. Because I always say, even if at the ministry, a lot of persons we have like book knowledge and dealing with persons, but the person who has actually gone into business, that is their real life experience. So mentorship is one of the areas that needs to improve in St. Lucia on a whole.
Thank you so much. And Pastor Paul, one stakeholder, one recommendation.
I want to just give a passing comment on one and a real new comment on the other one. I think we can solve our youth unemployment problem the fastest, or reduce it, by doing more post-secondary training, because most of the unemployment based on high school, people have just left, or the highest level of education is secondary school education. So if we just, as a strategy, Ministry of Education and the others, simply have students do more post-secondary education, we will find employability rising in St. Lucia. That's the passing one. But the real one I want to talk about is those of us, parents, who have worked hard and you have built wealth, and you're now ready to, you're retired, and you're looking at the nursing home, or you're looking at the terminal part of your life, and you think of just doing a will and partitioning to members of the family. A lot of young people, they just take that and sell that. We must we must do what the rich people are doing. Create a trust deed where you invest all your lands into a trust deed and a trust fund, and you appoint a trustee, and those children are beneficiaries, and they can borrow from the trust fund, but the trustee must follow certain rules outlined in the trust deed, and to allow for generational wealth to continue ad infinitum. If we do that in St. Lucia, we will see a lot of wealth creation and wealth sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we want to thank our entire panel for really doing an excellent job and sharing with us from your expertise and your experience and your insights. And we have, I think, answered the question and more. So thank you so much, and I trust that your audience would have benefited and put it into practice so that we can truly go to the next level and see more of our men and women being able to provide for themselves, their families, and their communities. Thank you so much, and I hand over. Yes.
In sweet man, I don't know what happened. If I could have asked the Lord to just keep the time, but we are certainly grateful, a wealth of information, although I still have a few questions in my mind, but I guess we can have another forum, where we can discuss so that we can make it, easy for, persons who are either underemployed or would like to be self-employed to, be able to see how it can actually happen. You've provided a lot of information, and I can see the need for structures, and maybe as men, we would start thinking about at least a structure among us that will help, both create a kind of, apprenticeship system and other means. In other words, ideas have been generated here, and we'll have to follow through on it and make it work for us. So thank you. We certainly appreciate this. Maybe Christmas is coming early. But we have some tokens that we'd like to give. Most times, you have the ladies to give the men the gift, but that's okay. We are brothers. So I just want to give a few tokens just to show our appreciation, to take time out, genuine, on a weekend, to be out, time you would really want to devote to your family and your own personal interests, and to take some time to be with us. We consider that to be more than just a gesture. We see your passion, and we are extremely grateful. And so we just want to say thank you in a very special way. All right? Yeah. So, no, only, right. Just, okay. Let me start first, and then you'll come after. Yes, Ella. So could you kindly, let's start with Mr. Chris. Yeah. I need the brown ones, right? But I guess if we may have to. On behalf of the men's ministry in St. Lucia, we really want to. On behalf of the men's ministry in the St. Lucia Mission of Seventh-day Adventists, we want to just give you a token to show our appreciation for being here and sharing out of the wealth of your information. And certainly this is price, it is valuable to us, and then we put it to work. Thank you. God bless you. Yes. Give them a round of applause, everybody. Okay, Mr. Jonathan. Well, Alan, sorry. Yes, on behalf of the St. Lucia Mission of Seventh-day Adventists and the men's ministries of our mission, we just want to give you a token of our appreciation. Again, we are so grateful for the contribution that you have made here. And to us, we don't want the information we hear to fall on deaf ears. We want to make it work. And so we certainly are grateful, and we look forward to seeing both of you again some other time. God bless you. Yes. Yeah. We'll use different colors. Okay, but could you, well, let's start with Brother Issue, then start with Brother Emmanuel. Brother Emmanuel, now please, not because you are one of us. Yes, you've given us time and a wealth of information. We won't be able to pay for that. There are some symposium, when you appear, you get you get a dinner out, you even get a trip out. but we just want to say we are grateful. It may look small, but it is an indication of how we feel. Okay, thank you. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Yes. Everybody. We appreciate the effort here. Pastor Paul and Elder Barry, we certainly appreciate your presence here. And listen to me. You may not be able to understand the impact of what was said here today. It's difficult to assess what you say. Remember, you have people who are following you online, and for them, that's $1 million information. So we certainly appreciate this. Don't underestimate what you have done there. We will put it to work, and we look forward to seeing you again. Remember, that's a conversation that has started, and we want it to continue. Thank you very kindly. Yes. He's in good hands. He's in good hands. All right. So, Elder, there is a special gift for Brother Chamberlain. There should be a package there that has a blue, something blue there, right? All right. Well, leave it to me. I will find it. I will find it and give him his. Yes. Yes. So thank you. Can you give them a round of applause, everybody?
We are to fight. So where you lead me, I will go. Touch my lips, by your strength I will go. I will go where you lead me, I will go. worship Him. In all the nations, in all